All right, guys, today is October 19th, 2025, as we do the live stream for the next hour. One Eye Bright, also known as PT. I don't know if I'm winking or blinking, but I'm definitely thinking about The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, Tulsa King, football. I mean, what else you got? Any other topics? Let me know your thoughts. Post your comments below. I have not seen the finale, Season 3, Episode 7 of Daryl Dixon. But I hope it's good, and I hope it sets things up for the fourth and final season. But we'll have to see, how it goes down. All right, guys. So we'll just wait for a couple more minutes for everybody to join. And, so like I said, we were watching Daryl Dixon, Tulsa King. Haven't seen either of the new episodes just yet. What else? Starting 5 has a new season on Netflix, talking about the NBA basketball season last year. Bloodline on Netflix, still on there. I think we're on episode 8 now. And, so I don't know what else we're really watching. How about you guys? What are you watching? I've been recently watching some clips on YouTube, and there was the Punisher movie with Thomas Jane, and that was filmed in Tampa Bay, and so I watched like a couple little clips of it here and there, and then once you watch one thing, the next they give you more and more and more and more of it, and I think it's really cool because we got to meet Thomas Jane when we were here, and they were filming right outside of my University of Tampa, is where they filmed some things, but it was pretty cool to see that, and that was kind of the first taste of just shows being filmed or movies being filmed around just where I was, and then Georgia and everything else with The Walking Dead and everything. It's pretty cool to see filming sites if you've never seen that or whatever. I think it's kind of cool. I mean, it's not for everybody, but especially go to Sonoy. It's just a nice little town anyway on there as well. But how you doing? I got a flu shot yesterday on Friday night. And it takes about a day and a half for me to feel better about it or feel better with it because, you feel like you have the flu because you kind of have the flu. And so, it's coming up. I got it at 6 o'clock on Friday at night. And my wife kind of went through hers pretty quickly, but I was delayed until yesterday into this morning. And workout was a little rough this morning, but it's all right. But thank you, Negan, Jeannie, Big Tree, Synth Loved DNA, Sims, Carol, and Hardnixie, and everybody else joining as we speak. So, I think that the Daryl thing, Kirsten Herring from Germany, very cool. Hello. So the Daryl season, this season to me, kind of feels like I don't like the feel of it being like a tangent out of ordinary Walking Dead, but I do like the story of Daryl and Carol and everything there too. But this season in particular feels like it's like a side quest, extra stuff, because I've said it before and I'll say it again till we get the reconnection, whatever you want to call it, with Daryl and Rick. Carol says Bloodline was good all the way through. Ending disappointment, though. So I haven't seen it yet. Again, I'm only on episode 8 of season 1. Most shows are disappointing. I would assume more. Is that true? Do you guys agree with that? That more shows end with the shows being worse. Final series finales. Oh, Gen V. We're watching Gen V as well. And they're setting up a big connection with Gen V and the boys, which you're going to probably go off on some different side shows, spin-offs. Everything on there is pretty cool. But, Gen V is a different kind of, just like the boys is a different kind of superhero show. Jeannie says, flu shot is nothing compared to caught in the wild flu. For sure. No, before I used to never get flu shots, ever. I remember growing up, my dad and I never got flu shots, and I'm pretty sure I've gotten the flu several times in my life, and especially in college a couple times, and I definitely felt terrible for probably 3 days. And then fever broke. Everything just felt better. And, yeah. But it's definitely something that, and any kind of vaccination, flu shot, COVID shot, this shot, whatever shot, especially with a virus, you can still get the virus. Like, you can still get the flu. But you should have antibodies that cut it down greatly in there as well. So that's the whole premise of it. And we went to Publix yesterday and we were supposed to go to CVS. And then we got text messages saying that they had to cancel our flu shot for some reason. And so then I made 2 appointments for Publix. So, and we got flu shots there and did some food shopping, and it was fine. It worked out very well. So we got the Cowboys playing the Commanders today at 4:25. I got Dak going again in FanDuel and a couple other players. Hopefully Zach Ertz for the Commanders. Their tight end does well because I got him going too. So, but yeah, football's going crazy. Shows are going well. I believe tonight on Fox is The Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors, which I always like. That's one of the Halloween things that I always like to watch. And it comes out this Sunday, I believe, tonight. Jeannie says, I had a roomie once who refused to get flu shot because it made her sick. Then she got the real flu, and it was so much worse. Give me the shot anytime over that, for sure. You know, I think that's a good way to go. It might not be for everybody, but if you can prevent something, sickness, illness, virus, whatever, then why not, right? I mean, it's definitely something. And the flu shots are, with most insurances, are free. So I'd rather feel bad for a day and a half than down the road. And we're going to be traveling soon. So, you know, it's always good to have that, in my opinion, too, as well. So, but what are you guys watching? Any other shows, movies, anything? I know my one friend back home, if you read the book series, it's Sean. So the real life Sean, he posted something on Facebook that he likes the movie Tron Ares, and I haven't seen it, so I don't know if it's good or bad. But he sometimes has a tendency to to post his thoughts on Facebook, and I'm sure that not a lot of people are liking the movie or are not wanting to see it. But he said it was good, and hopefully it is. You know it's funny because some people, if you say anything remotely negative about any show or movie or anything like that, the fans of it, the true supporters of it, jump on there too. Like, it's just kind of crazy. And you can have an opinion, especially about movies and shows, but if you say something remotely negative, it's kind of like you hate it, you don't know, you don't support it, you're terrible. But you can like parts of it, not like parts of it or whatever. But I remember growing up with Sean, I noticed in 6th grade, and we used to go to a lot of movies. You know, when movies were like $5, you'd go, Task. Yeah, Sim says, watch a show, Task. I'm going to watch that now. Is that done now on HBO? I know it's an HBO show, but I want to know if it's, because I actually like to personally watch when I can watch it all. I don't have to wait week to week. It can be a little annoying, even though we're doing that with Tulsa King and stuff, which is fine. So we kind of have our days to watch things, and Tulsa King will be today. We'll watch football. Maybe I'll watch The Simpsons today or tomorrow. I'll probably watch Monday Night Football. The Bucks play the Lions, so that should be a great game. Yeah, so it's done for the season, so that's cool. Yeah, I don't mind doing that, watching that. And do you recommend it, Sims? Is it a good show? Is it worth watching? So, it's kind of, we're spoiled. I was always joking with my patients about it too. Like, remember when you had to watch certain shows every day of the week or whatever? Like, it was like talking with my wife the other day, and we were talking about different shows, like waking up. Like it was yesterday, and I played soccer, competitive soccer growing up, and we would have to travel on Sundays to go drive around if it was a home game or an away game or whatever it was. And we get to the game, and he returned. Yeah, we knew he was coming back next season anyway, but I'm sure it's far-fetched then but we'll have to see how it plays out. But just growing up, playing soccer on Sundays, coming back, having, pizza, because my dad didn't want to cook, obviously. We're driving around, for that. Watching America's Funniest Home Videos, The Sims football, The Simpsons, In Living Color, all those shows growing up. It was kind of pretty cool to do that. And then you have TGIF and Saturday cartoons and shows during the week and, Friends and Seinfeld and Roseanne and all the different shows. Well, if the season just ended today, you got to think it's going to be next year. And they're filming season 4 right now in Spain. And so I don't know when it's going to return, if they're going to wait until next September or they're going to wait for, I don't know. It's going to be next year, obviously, I would assume, for when Daryl Dixon comes back. But I don't know if he's coming back in April, May, or October, September, October, because when does Dead City play about? There's, some questions to see how it unfolds, but we only have 2 Walking Dead shows right now, and then after next year, Daryl Dixon will be done. But that doesn't mean that could be the last ones, even though I kind of feel like it should. They should just go into Dead City and just make that show be the main show, and that's it. And bring people over and bring everything there. I think it would be kind of cool. I don't know if Morgan will return in the future. I know they left it open-ended for him to come back. But Morgan was in Georgia and had to go up to Ohio. Daryl and Carol are in Spain. Negan and Maggie are in New York City. So none of them are in that areas. But they could come around again. It makes sense that we'll have to see how it just plays out for what they want to do. And again, I haven't seen the Daryl Dixon finale for season 3. But I would assume they're setting things up for season 4. So I don't know if they're going to do that or not. But never say never, as we know with Madison and everything else, is they can bring people around whenever they want and whenever they feel like. Even though to me it seems Bush League and lackluster and just jumping the shark and doing everything else that's not really satisfying and worth watching and worth being part of it, But it's part of the Walking Dead universe, good, bad, or indifferent. So do you support it or not? I don't know. So like last week's episode with Daryl, it just felt the plan was just so stupid. And again, Daryl was with these people that are throwaway characters, and some of them died, right? The crazy thing about it is Daryl and Paz, or whatever her name is, they go to this group, they come up with a plan, they don't really like the plan, but they go for it anyway. They do that. The one lady dies. She fires a rocket at the Jeep or the truck or the Humvee or whatever it was. And Paz knocks the rocket launcher out of the way. The rocket hits the wall. The walkers come out. That lady dies. And then everybody's kind of okay with her dying. Like, it was kind of crazy. But yeah, Sim says, and in Tulsa King, Dallas Roberts, Milton, and The Walking Dead is in it. He's there too. So also in Tulsa King, last week's episode, where they got the barrels back of whiskey, I believe, or bourbon. I think it's bourbon. But that's Terminus. They were at Terminus filming there in Georgia for that. And as soon as they come around the top, and I knew it was Terminus right away, and then they look down at the bottom, and you could see that's the same angle from where Carol saved everybody, and my wife and I have been there, and it's pretty cool. Just to, again, going to filming sites, going to different locations is pretty awesome. But because Tulsa King is filmed in Georgia, and so many things are filmed in Georgia. It's pretty awesome too. So I love the idea of, potentially going to Georgia or South Carolina and then real close to Georgia. And I love the idea of possibly, I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but if they ever film somewhere locally or somewhere there too, to be an extra or something, I think it'd be cool to see the process. To see how much you have to sit around and wait to film stuff. So the other thing that was kind of funny is I had a new patient last week, and she's a firefighter. And I was talking to her about different things and blah, blah, blah. And she was telling me that, she's from a couple different places. And one of those places along her way is California. And I was talking to her about, filming locations and where they filmed. And they filmed stuff in Florida, and they used to, but they film more stuff in Georgia. And I told her I used to love a show, The Walking Dead. And she's like, oh, yeah. She used to work on the set, I guess it's CBS Paramount, where they filmed Talking Dead. And that it was, she was there on set doing, EMS, firefighter stuff. I guess they have to be on set just in case something happens. And that's pretty cool that she was there for Talking Dead. And I want to talk to her a little bit more when I see her again next week. But, what a small world that she was there and probably saw the guests and saw this. And, I know they filmed on the same lot as Price is Right and everything too. And so it was kind of cool to see and kind of hear. And, I wish they filmed more in Florida, but the tax breaks are much more in Georgia. So majority of stuff is filmed in Georgia as well. I'm hoping to find out, because I know people are talking about it in the chat right now, is Andrew Lincoln coming back, next season of Daryl Dixon is what people are hoping, or just in general that Andrew Lincoln could come back in some way, shape, or form. But it makes sense. The biggest sense is coming back for Daryl Dixon to reunite with Daryl. And the easiest connection is that they're in Barcelona, Daryl and Carol and everybody. They're in Spain, and so they can go to Barcelona, and then they can meet Jeff Grimes. And Jeff Grimes can be, even though so much time has passed, but no one cares about the timeline. And sometimes in The Walking Dead, like the walkers are still very much prevalent. Some of the stuff just doesn't make sense in my opinion. But either way, that's an easy connection to have. Barcelona, Spain. But then we also thought that Daryl could have went to the French CDC and had nice callbacks to The Walking Dead with, but they never did that. Not to say they won't. But I don't know. It just feels like Daryl's show is some missed opportunities to connect with the previous Walking Dead. And The Walking Dead as a whole is still, going on. But I just would love more connections. And I like the idea of them just connecting the dots with the stuff we know, by the way, people are connected with. Daryl, Carol, Rick, Morgan, Commonwealth, Civic Republic, whatever, Because I think the best thing is, and the most rewarding in a lot of shows and movies and books and whatever, is when you start something, plant the seed, comes back around, there's connections. It just seems like it's all interconnected. The world building just seems more encompassing and it just seems great, I like the idea of, having connections in the broad scheme of The Walking Dead, but then it gets real small in a little bubble, like it's always kind of cool when you have a story and you're like, oh, small world. Or, oh, you knew that person? Oh, yeah, I went to school with that person. Or, my goodness, that's your uncle? Or whatever it is, like, oh, my God, I knew them. I grew up there or whatever. It just seems like familiar and connected and whatever. And The Walking Dead, remember The Walking Dead in the first seasons? It was definitely cool when really the first season is setting the groundwork for The Walking Dead, and the second season is at the farm and everything, and they didn't have the biggest budget, so it kind of was more there. But the third season, The Walking Dead really took off. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth seasons. Like, that was like the heyday of The Walking Dead. And it just felt like we were worried about every little thing. We were worried about this and worried about that and worried about walkers and worried about, the wolves and worried about, it was just like so much cool stuff was happening time and time and time again for so many seasons. And then we got away from that, and then the Negan stuff, and then here, and the Saviors, and there, and then people left, and the writing was kind of crazy. But they could easily come back to some of that, too. Time's gone by, and they could come back to smaller things and whatever. But I don't know if they're ever going to do that. I don't know. They just feels like they're just going through the motions. It's budget-friendly Walking Dead. The Daryl stuff just seems like a tangent that's off course. Like, it's involved, but none of these people matter besides Carol. So we'll have to see, the Daryl and Carol, they're not going to make it back home because they're still filming in Spain for season 4. And so we'll have to see what happens with that. And then, again, most shows don't end well. Like The Walking Dead ending was like, okay, but it's not an ending. There's no like true ending. Most zombie stories can only end a couple different ways. The remaining people survive. The remaining people die. The military shows up and saves people, or they don't. There's a cure or not. There's only so much things. Because in The Walking Dead, everyone's infected. So that doesn't really matter of them. And you don't need a cure because the walkers are slow. You need a World War Z cure because those zombies were pretty fast. Pretty crazy on there too. And it's crazy how the different things come about in the same kind of idea. But, it is what it is, and every story is different, and just the makeup is different for what they do. So, with The Walking Dead Daryl show ending today is the last episode, we're not going to have Walking Dead stuff for a while. I don't know when stuff's going to come back for Dead City or Daryl Dixon, but I hope that next year, I hope the Daryl show ends in a way that's satisfying, and I hope Dead City just greatly improves. Because I feel the first season of Dead City was better than the second season by far, and I hope the third season is even better. But it just, I don't know, it just seems like everything, they're pinching pennies, and when they're doing that, it usually hurts the product. I usually don't like the feel of when you can tell when stuff is cut back and the money isn't there and the story isn't there and the writing isn't there. I feel like the Rick and Michonne story should have been more than one season, and a lot of people have said that it felt rushed. Now the Daryl story is going to be 4 seasons, which is kind of extended too much in my opinion. If it was going to open up the world a little bit, then that'd be kind of cool. But we'll have to see. I don't know. I guess the big question is will they make it back home too? So. No, I haven't seen the Daryl show yet. So I haven't seen the Daryl season 3 episode 7 season 3 finale episode yet. So I don't know. I don't know what happens, and I'm okay with that because I just watch it later this week. But The Walking Dead overall was a game-changing show. It just was on too long, in my opinion, and did too much. They were trying to expand because The Walking Dead was a game-changing show for how many people watched and cared about this genre. Why am I doing the live now? Because that's what I do on Sundays, bro. That's what I'm doing the live for. What are you talking about? I'm doing one next week, and then I'm done for a while. So I'll talk about the episode next week, about the finale and where it's going on there, too. There'll be spoilers. I can just You don't put any spoilers in the chat. If you do, you're gone. So that's why I'm talking about it as well. Why am I doing live? What kind of question's that? But, so the fact of it is like, I'm ready for Stranger Things. Like, let's get to Thanksgiving and let's get Stranger Things wrapped up, because that is far too long of how long that show has been going and going and going. And there's a lot of episodes. There's 8 episodes, and some of them are pretty long. I mean, I think the finale episode is like 2 hours. And that's a legit 2 hours. They're not having, their okay. Yeah. And so the thing about it is, I love when people try to tell me what to do on the channel. That's hilarious. But the fact of it is that, I think we got to just move on from different things, and hopefully we get another show. And I would love to talk about the Tulsa King stuff and everything on there, but that's going to be ending soon. And the Mayor of Kingstown's coming back next. I don't know. It's coming out very soon. Is it next week? I think Mayor of Kingstown comes out. And then we got Landman, which should be pretty awesome. And so, yeah, the Taylor Sheridan Paramount shows should be pretty cool. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with everything there. And that's, I think, some of the best shows right now is the Taylor Sheridan stuff. Yeah, 26. So next Sunday. So Daryl ends tonight. Mayor of Kingstown, which, Lenny James is in that. So it's good to see Lenny James acting. And it's always cool. Like, I'll always be the person that's like, oh, there's Morgan. Or, oh, there's Jerry. Or, oh, there's Ezekiel. Or whatever, when you get to see these guys. And I hope that everyone's going to be doing well for acting afterwards. Because I love the idea of the Walking Dead family just doing bigger and better things too, especially like John Bernthal. I've seen more and more things about him playing the Punisher in Spider-Man and being in all these different things, which is pretty cool. Like, I don't have a connection with them besides meeting them at conventions or, watching them in shows and movies. But I feel like them a little bit. You feel like that's our group, that's our people, that's our, community. And when you get to see the people from Walking Dead universe going to other shows and genres and everything, it should be pretty cool. And I'm excited for Daredevil. I think Marvel's going to do really well next year too. So I love the idea of Marvel getting kind of back to, because I don't know if you guys like Marvel stuff or not, but I thought it was a really good part of pop culture, shows, movies, bringing people back to the movie theaters. And I think it's next year when it's going to be Avengers Doomsday, and then Avengers Secret Wars, and then this, and then X-Men and everything. So there should be big things coming out around the way. But, I was at Sam's Club yesterday, and I would love to buy a bigger television, but I have I think I have a 70, I don't even have a big 75, I think it's 75. But you could buy, I don't know, 85-inch TV at Sam's Club for like less than $700 or whatever. I'm like, just imagine the Black Friday deals or next year, next couple years. Just why would I ever go to the movie theater? And just, I don't know why it just popped into my head now. But remember when they were talking about the Walking Dead being movies potentially? Then that turned into the Rick and Michonne, The Ones Who Live show. But I remember that was like, they're going to do movies. And they wanted to go people to the movie theater. And would that story been good to go to the movies? Because it would have probably been 3 movies. They would have stretched out. It would have been a trilogy. But I don't know if it really would have been worthwhile watching that story in the movie theater and paying that stuff and waiting all that time. Like, I think it was done well for, 6 episodes. They could have stretched it out a little bit longer than I guess if they did, But I think they did a lot of stuff. Yeah, right. And COVID, the world messed up. The world was messed up because of COVID. And then the writer's strike, the actor strike, all these different strikes. It was just like crazy. And so it was definitely something that, not fun, getting back to it. And they made the best of it. I remember when the Black Widow movie was supposed to go in the movie theaters, and then it didn't, and then it was on streaming, and then they were trying to get the money to Scarlett Johansson because she had a percentage points of that, but they didn't because it was on streaming, and it was this whole big crazy thing. But you're talking about ridiculous amount of money when it comes to that. Some of the best thing you can ever do is to get percentage points of movie sales forever. Streaming rights, DVD sales, overseas, wherever it is, getting that too. It's definitely all about maintaining that, I guess ownership stake in it too. Like one of the biggest things when I think of that is Keanu Reeves with The Matrix. He got like a couple percent of it or something and made hundreds of millions of dollars because of that. And that was pretty awesome. And nowadays, I don't even know if it's worth it because movie sales are not what they used to be. They just aren't. They're not. Most people don't want to go to the movies when you can just wait 2 months, 3 months, and watch it at home. Whoa. Yeah, one of the things I'll never forget is when we saw Bullet Time with the cameras in the Matrix, when he dodges the bullets. And he gets out of the way of them. And then he still gets hit in the thigh. And he's like, Trinity! And he's panicking. And she's like, dodge this. And takes out the agent. But that's when... Man, 1999, different world, 26 years ago. It's just crazy to see where stuff's going, too. It's 2025. We got 2.5 months left of this year. And where's stuff going next year? Where's stuff going for the future of entertainment, movies, resolution, TVs, internet, 6G, 8K, what are we gonna do, man? It's crazy. And I want more. I would love to get FiOS, the fiber optic cable, but they got to work the kinks out, man. Every time does anybody have FiOS by Verizon? Because I was talking to my patients about it, and one of them just got it. And he loves the speed of it, but something's connected with his email or something, and it's not right. But it's, what do you think of it at Soul Life? Because I would definitely try to switch if I could, but I can't because it's not in my neighborhood. They didn't have the fiber optic lines put down yet. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny when you said franchises. I thought of food franchises, but Monopoly is back at McDonald's, and we have a couple pieces. We didn't win it. We won some food items, but didn't win anything else. But had to get it because we were we'll get a couple pieces and see. Hopefully we can win something, but I doubt it. But it's just kind of fun to play the Monopoly game at Publix. Or Publix at McDonald's. Sorry, my wife just texted me. She's getting her nails done right now. Because I would love to get FiOS. I think so. Michelle Wadler, do you like it? What do you recommend? FiOS. Any good things, bad things? So if I haven't had many complaints, they do have to do some new wiring, and their little cable boxes need a hard reboot occasionally. Yeah, that's okay. I would probably not even use the cable box. I would probably just use it as their router and Wi-Fi. But then I heard that customer service is not good or whatever, and hopefully that'll be the future, and it'll just be better and better and better, and it'll be faster, no lag, no this on there too, and you don't have to reboot the stuff. It'll self reboot or something. Cable box, yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where the future is going with it too. Remember, back in the 80s and 90s, we were playing Nintendo, whatever. Oh, it's never gonna get better than this. And then Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out next year, and it's just crazy. The graphics and the processing and everything is great, but then also the memory is there. It's crazier too, especially with data centers and everything. It's just, that's what everything's going towards. Servers and, just putting in stuff to control the data and keep stuff, secure in places. But yeah, like I said, I haven't seen the Daryl show, so I can't weigh in on it. But last week's episode was okay. I mean, they're trying to save Justina, and they didn't. They got Carol was trying to get Roberto out of there because Fetty was killing him. And you see the whole love triangle with Maria and, the whole thing there with it. And, I couldn't help but the themes of the red were around there. So I'll have to see if Roberto's dad dies or not. Plus he kissed Carol, which is the kiss of death. So I don't know if that's going to work out or not. But I'll have to see. The red stuff was all around. But it's all right. It's a nice, fun theory that some people take way too serious. Still coming up with more and more ideas for Fight For Us 2. It's amazing how I'll be at the gym and I was thinking about stuff for the story, and I text my myself on Facebook or whatever to different ideas for stuff, and that's the way to do it in my book, is text or literally get a notebook and write it down, because it may come and go like that. And there's stuff that I thought about that would be good ideas for a story that I thought about years ago. And they could come in. There's still stuff that I haven't used yet from previous thoughts and ideas that, it's kind of interesting. And different things come up here and there. Oh, that may fit here, Genie says, Brian is me noticing red in everything I watch. Well, no, I don't think the red stuff works in every show or everything, unless that's the way it is in the continuity of the story, or it plays that way too. I think that it fits in The Walking Dead because it has some validity to it from previous stuff of the red theory and how foreshadowing of stuff was there. I don't think it's that way all the time, even though, I mean, if I was creating a show or anything there too, I would have symbolism or some stuff that shows another meaning or a higher meaning, or just foreshadowing in a way with colors too, and I think it's an easy way to have it too. So, because I do think that's a good way to have a view, and especially in art, the symbolism, the hidden meaning or whatever. And that's how some artists paint or draw or make shows or movies. So, because, I like I like the outlet of the art. Singing, dancing, drawing, writing, whatever it is. You have to have an outlet. And self-expression is pretty good. Working out is a good outlet too. It's not artistic by any means, but bodybuilding or getting in shape and having goals and stuff is always good to have, I believe, too, is that. But, I've always said it before, is I want you guys to enjoy life, stay active, do what's meaningful for yourself, friends, family. Stay in touch with your friends and family. And, I had a lady that I saw, one of my patients, and you never know the way a conversation is going to go after you talk to them and see how they're doing and whatever. And we were talking, and she said that she hasn't talked to her friend back in Texas in a while now, and she really wants to. And I was like, don't wait. Do it now. Because tomorrow's not given. And you don't really think about it because you always have tomorrow. Oh, I'll call her later. I'll call her tomorrow. I haven't talked to her in a while. Next thing you know, it's been weeks or months and you haven't talked to that person. And don't wait because stuff gets in the way, health changes, people have different stuff going on. Whatever it is, if you're alive, you can have different sicknesses, illnesses, viruses, stroke, heart attack, something, and you can't communicate that way. Or if someone passes on. Or you pass on, that happens. And you never got a chance to say that. And so don't wait. Make a text. Give a phone call. I know that's a foreign thing for some people nowadays. I don't think anybody in here, but maybe outside of here, people are like, they don't use the phone anymore. They don't call anymore. They text or they message. They don't really talk on the phone, which is fine. I don't think you have to. I think communication, the right communication is what it is. Like, if I don't call my dad, he'll send me a text, like just checking in. Everything here is good. Hope you're doing well. And I give him a thumbs up emoji. And that's communication. Is it impersonal? Is it worse than a phone call? I don't think so. I think it's just different. I think it's just a way to do it. And that's why I'm thinking about like the Carol and Daryl show is how are they going to communicate? And maybe it's answered in this episode, but I don't know. I haven't seen it. But how are they going to communicate, send a transmission or a message back to the States, back to the United States? Because I know they could do it, but how? Are they going to get to a place? Because they're going to have to get help. Because I don't really know if Carol and Daryl can sail that boat back to the United States. Like, you're not just like sailing around the ocean side, countryside here. You're going across the Atlantic Ocean. That's a pretty big deal. And if you don't have the right boat or the right ability or the right anything, you're going to sink or crash or potentially die on there. Like, it's dangerous with whatever, weather, I don't know, icebergs. We're going to pull a Titanic out there. I don't know. Ham radio can skip long distance depending on sun activity. So, yeah, there you go. Ham radio. I hope so. Yeah, Sim says, younger folks get busy and busier, so us older folks don't see them as often. You're right. And, yeah, she said, Vikings cross the Atlantic. Carol and Daryl can do it. Well, are they going to get a Viking ship? Are they going to have a crew? I don't think the Vikings came across with 2 people. There's probably a crew of like 20. But they could. What if they get everybody out of there? They get Roberto, they get Justina, Roberto's dad. You know, Carol, Daryl, a couple other people, Cadrone, bring them all back. Hi, Cosmo Code 1970. I hope so. Bring it back. Bring Laurent and everyone else too. They can get their crew back. Get a Viking ship. Come on down. Sail back to Maine. Or better yet, come into New Jersey. And then come over there, go through Pennsylvania, back to Ohio, the Commonwealth, Alexandria, Virginia, wherever. Get there. Bring it back. I could see it. But yeah, I mean, I love the conversation here. You know, like Jeannie says, whatever communications work for the relationship is good as long as they communicate. Yes, communication is key in life. With yourself, with your friends, with your family, with your coworkers, people outside of here, at the supermarket, or too, is like, oh, excuse me, I'm just going to step around you for a second, or oh, okay, you know, oh, I'm just going to reach here, you know, just talking, communicating. We're not able to do that anymore. We're losing the ability to converse, and if they don't like me, I don't know how to handle that. Or if they don't know, if they have a different view than me, I don't know. They're wrong. I don't know. If they don't like me, what's wrong with me? They're wrong. Or they have different ideas. I don't know. I can't handle that. You know, we're getting away from communicating and being there for each other. Hard Nixie says it's difficult to have a good, quick back and forth conversation when it's not verbal. And that's true. And also when you text, sometimes it's tough to tell context if someone's being funny or not. But maybe it's just drop the line and just say, hey, mate, you're free. I'll give you a call. Sure. Or yeah, give me a call this weekend. I'll talk to you. Right. Some things are better over text because they're short. Some things are not, you know. Yeah, great question. I don't know. Will Laurent and the other man find the Commonwealth? Like, are we sure he's not going to be trapped somewhere? I don't know. Yeah, exactly. So if Daryl's show is ending next season, we need to see Laurent again. We need to see the guy that took him away on the plane. We need to see Carol. We need to see Daryl, Cadrone. There's going to be some sort of resolution. They all don't have to leave to go back to America, but I would assume that should be the most logical thing, is hopefully it just resolves and it's concluded. It's done, whether you like it or not. Because we know Carol and Dow are not dying. You know, we know that is never happening. Unless Melissa McBride's like, I'm done with this show. I'm done with everything. Kill me off. And you know that Daryl, Norman Reedus, he never wants Daryl to die. If Daryl dies, we riot the slogan was a funny thing that people said. So that makes sense for Daryl to stay alive, Carol to stay alive, and then the rest of the characters can come and go, live or die, whatever. It doesn't matter. You know? And it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Hopefully it's interesting. I do have faith in Daryl, Norman Reedus, and Greg Nicotero, and Melissa McBride. I hope that I really like the idea of them wrapping it up in a successful manner that concludes the story of those guys. And that's it. You know, old man Daryl is old man, and maybe they take a break and he comes back. But just like Andrew Lincoln was like, I don't want to play the role anymore, he went away. Then they were going to film movies. That didn't work out, so they filmed the show. And now he's in talks to come back around. And I would assume he's going to be around. I would love for him and Michonne to come around because I think they're great for the Walking Dead universe. Rick, Michonne, Daryl, Carol, Negan, Morgan, and everybody else they want to bring back. Father Gabriel, you know, however they want to do it. Any remaining person can do there too. And the way they're going, there's going to be enough walkers forever. They're never going to go away. They're never going to go anything that they're always going to be around, is my feel. Unless drastically they stop. Because the walkers right now, I feel, are like such a minor part of anything, right? Like Daryl's whole thing here is they crashed on the boat. They came across these people, came across Roberto and Justina, saved them, went to their community, stayed there, were supposed to leave right away, but didn't. Saving Justina was the goal. Daryl was supposed to get the boat and leave, but it was like, I had to go help her and get her back. It didn't work out last episode. I'm assuming it works out here. We'll have to see if somebody dies, if any of them die. But, we'll have to see how it's going out. But it's interesting to watch. But if next season's the final season, you got to wrap it up. Because the first season was like Daryl got to France. How did he get there? Because, kind of the thing, he was on a boat, he was captured and got away, and then was stuck. And then was trying to leave, but was stuck. Carol found her way to get there, but now they're stuck. Trying to get back. But they have to resolve there too. Unless, what is Carol and Daryl going to just live in the French countryside or the Spain, they're going to be in Barcelona or Portugal or somewhere and be on there forever and just live there happily ever after. And a nice villa, safe and sound in the countryside and have a farmland and be good. Nah, they got to make it home. Or at least get picked up and saved and then brought back home. I'd love to see Judith again with Daryl, because they've been connected the entire time. We'd love to see all those. And so, like I said, I don't know how many more weeks they're filming the Daryl Dixon season 4 show, but if Norman's back in Georgia, then we kind of know what happened. And I haven't really seen pictures. I haven't been looking either, but when people used to come into Georgia all the time flying, you would see pictures at the airport with Andrew Lincoln, with Norman Reedus, with whoever. They're filming in Georgia or they're working something in Georgia. So we'll have to see. We have to keep our eyes open for the rest of the year about that, because then we kind of know they're coming back. And I don't know what the studio, if they still have the Commonwealth set up, but they could use a field like they did for when Daryl drove away in his motorcycle. Like that was probably just like an open field with the doors that opened and just had a couple little walls, like a set there that they made, put up. And they didn't need a whole place. Ginny says she wants them to reunite with Team Family. Of course, right? I think we all do. I think we all want Team Family to reunite and come back around again and be a part of it and come back to the States. And just, they can write whatever they want, right? They can do whatever they need to do. They can have it be back in Ohio. They can never leave Spain. They can come there. I don't know. But I do like the idea of them coming together wherever it is, too. So, Seth Love says, if they don't reunite at the end of season 4, they're making a new spinoff with Rick. If not, Rick and Laurent will appear, and that's all. Yeah, they don't have to, but that's the open-ended thing, is that they should. But they can, just like Fear the Walking Dead, they can do whatever they want with these shows. There's no comic material that needs to be there besides Walking Dead, the Alien, with Jeff Grimes and the other people in that story, which is a one-off comic. There's no Fear the Walking Dead comic. There's no World Beyond comic. There's no The Ones Who Live comic. There's no anything. But, they have the idea of setting up. I still think it would have been a great thing to have our group come together to fight the Civic Republic, military and everything in there, and they just missed out because Michonne and Rick wiped them out at the end of their show, which is kind of crazy that they were able to do that in 6 episodes. But that's just how it works with that show, because that's what they do. But we'll have to see how it plays out. Carol, Daryl. You know, I feel like Carol has to be there for Daryl and vice versa. But Carol's outlived her comic story arc. I mean, she was a far different character in the comics. And she, you know, killed herself basically in the comics. And she was a different character. And I'm glad they made the decision to change that for Carol. And also keep Daryl alive. Also, remember, Daryl was not in the comics. We all know that. But he was also... Norman Reedus was supposed to die in the first season of The Walking Dead. But they kept him around and they liked him, you know, for a little bit longer, a little bit longer, and a little bit longer. And now they're running one of the more successful spin-offs of The Walking Dead from a Carol that is different than the comic. She should have died many seasons ago. And Daryl, who doesn't even... There's no comic connection there. So, but yeah, there's a bunch of different things that everybody's saying in the chat, that they could do all these different things, and they definitely could set up things. And I think that's the good way to go. Set up everything for the 4th season, and maybe even a spinoff. Just because The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon is ending with season 4 doesn't mean there's not going to be another show. I don't know how successful Daryl Dixon is and Dead City are or anything like that. I don't know how successful they are with The Walking Dead AMC connection and AMC Plus and people watching that and, you know, viewers and revenue and whatever. But I feel like people care about it. I just don't know, you know, how it is. But any kind of comic book, it's always about the next issue, the next issue, the next issue, the next issue. And that's why I was really surprised about the Walking Dead comic, how it ended, when it ended. They could have still made that for a long time. You know, they decided to kill Rick off in the comic. And I remember Robert Kirkman was like, yeah, just because Rick's going to die or Rick died doesn't mean that Carl can't lead the show. And they did it one more episode, one more comic, and that was it. Done. And so you're like, what? That's crappy. But either way, we get what we get, and we don't get upset, and we move on. The shows, the movies, anything, and it's a great time to be alive because there's so many different things on streaming services. All the different streaming services. And I see like more and more shows are getting renewed. Like I saw Silo was renewed for season 4 on Facebook. And then someone was like, where's season 3? I haven't seen season 3 yet. But that's a good show. I'm excited to see where that goes. You know, Fallout. That's another one coming out later this year. The Boys, Stranger Things, everything. There's just so many good shows coming out for streaming stuff. And then there's other stuff that comes out that we don't even think about too. Like stuff comes out all the time on streaming that hopefully gets good. I don't know. You know, stuff exists. And then there's like The Night Agent and stuff like that I don't know what that is, but we watched it and it was good. It came out of nowhere. And some different shows on different streaming services. And, you know, that's kind of cool to see where it's happening more and more stuff on streaming. You don't have to leave your house. You don't have to do anything. But I don't know what you guys have for streaming services, but Netflix is getting pretty pricey. And I want to say it's like $28 a month or something now. And I'm like, is that eventually going to be $50? Because if it gets too high, I'm going to be like, we got to cancel that. And then take a break. And then re-up it for like a month, watch everything on there we can, and then cancel it and kind of catch up that way. Because the streaming services are great, but eventually it's going to be so crazy, and hopefully more and more bundles are going to be there too, with like Hulu and this and that and whatever. I saw something is going to be like Apple Plus, and I forget what it was, but something else was going to be bundled together. And I'm like, that's what we need, more bundles, man. Bundle of a bundle. A bundle of joy on there as well. All right, guys, that's my time. That's my hour. I'll be back next Sunday to talk about the finale of the Daryl Dixon show. If you haven't seen it, watch it tonight, or I'm going to probably watch it this week, and we'll talk about it next Sunday to see where it's going to go to set things up for the 4th and final season of Daryl Dixon. Let me know your thoughts. Post your comments below. Thank you guys for watching. And remember, with hard work, dedication, belief, and sacrifice, you can truly achieve your goals no matter what they are. Keep working hard, guys. Enjoy the football games today. The Cowboys play the Commanders. Go Cowboys, and I'll see you next Sunday, guys. See ya.